Well, I am so excited to welcome Robin. Welcome, Robin. So happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I feel so honored and grateful and excited.
Oh, Robin, you are just so gifted at so many things, that energy and healing and holistic. But I'd love for you to share a little bit with us, first of all, just about your journey and what got you into feng shui and, all the energies that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe, much like you, Amanda, that when it comes to the feng shui, it was in me at a very early age. I always was very sensitive to the energies around me and just arranging furniture and things like that. Not consciously aware, but subconsciously, I did stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing how it really is within you. It's within all of us. We just have different sensitivities to it. And that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about now in being a feng shui consultant is that once I can help people see that, their life can change, you know, because they have these sensitivities, but they don't really know what they are or how to manage them. So that's just like, oh, I just love it.
Well, I love that. And that's such a beautiful perspective that you're sharing. And could you elaborate a little bit? You're saying they have these sensitivities and we know how it can transform your life, but would you take us a couple steps into that and how that can come up for people and then what they can experience? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have this one client who she loves her stuff, right? Anytime you talk to anybody who does feng shui, the first thing they're going to say is clutter, right? Like that's just the thing.
Always 101.
But she's like, Robin, I like my stuff. I don't like big open spaces. It just, anyway, she's one of these that's always a kind of a scatterbrain, popping from here to there. I said, okay, well, you like your stuff. So let's not get rid of your stuff, but let's just organize your stuff. We have all of her things now in an organized fashion. And so she didn't really get rid of, I mean, we did get rid of some stuff, but she didn't like totally clear everything out, but we organized it. And it just really aligned her all of a sudden to be a lot more clear in the things that she does.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. In the moment you were saying that, I just felt like the energy started flowing, right? Because it's
Yeah.
either, everything's made up of energy and it's either stagnant, which happens when there's piles of clutter everywhere and everything's just placed and there's not that intention behind it, versus letting go of some stuff like you work through with her, and then just putting things where they're meant to go and that they're honored and that they have intention behind them. And then there's that support and then there's that energy flow and then everything
Yeah.
kind of flowing in your life, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm also thinking about like my own personal experience in that because, we have a pretty big house, but we also have a big family, right? And my daughter is super creative. Like she loves to sew and she loves to paint and sketch and all the things that she does. And there's a lot of it. And we didn't have a craft room for her. So she started setting everything up in the dining room, which is like, how we talk about the importance of when you walk through your front door, do your spirits rise or fall? What do you see? Well, my dining room is like right in vision of my front door. And all of her crafting stuff was there and it wasn't organized. And it bothered me because also my personal meditation space is in the living room that's also connected. We have one of those open floor plans.
yeah.
And so I had all this at my back while I was doing my morning meditations and stuff. So anyway, I took that same concept of, okay, so this is the way that it is. We need to organize it. So her and I did it together. And so we organized it. And then, I still would love to have my dining room back, which I do now, actually, because one of my boys moved out. We moved her up and I'm like,
Woo!
in the meantime, before that happened, once we organized it, I reframed the way I thought about that space now. And instead of it being a cluttery, jumbly mess that kind of bothered me, it really inspired this excitement in me that she had a space to have a creative outlet,
Mm,
right? So sometimes it's also the reframe of the way you're thinking about it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that right there
Yeah.
is a shift, because if you're walking in your front door, I mean, we all know this, if something feels off and out of alignment, it gives us that heavy feeling, and then, and it's a lower vibration.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, it's cleared and it's organized. And then it's like, oh, but beautiful, like, because creativity is that life force flowing through us,
Yeah.
and so now she does that, and it also gave you, I think, I love that you shared as well, as like you did all the arranging together and you sorted out. So that was even just working together. And we talk
Yeah.
about this all the time, the importance of doing that together, and whatever changes are needed in the space, it's a collaborative. It's from everybody in the household, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to share, Amanda, too, that like before I started the feng shui program, I remember specifically calling you. We had quite a bit of back and forth because I'm like, I don't know if I can do this because part of the master, the feng shui master program is you have, or feng shui your life is you have to feng shui your own home. And I was like, we're a family of 5 and I'm the only one on board with this. Nobody else is going to do this.
Yeah, yeah, this is a really good point.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me, "Just do what you can. Just do what you can." And so and you find your space. And, so it's funny because I said that space that I was talking about, the living room, it's how homes have the formal living room and then the family room. So this is like the formal living room, which nobody ever hung out in, like, ever. And, it was just there, and I created that as my sacred space. Like I have my chair in there now with my crystals, and that's where I do my morning practices and all these things. And after I did that, everybody started hanging out in that room.
Of course, all that good energy flowing, the vibrations high, everyone's drawn in there. I
Even
love.
the dog. I mean, the dog naps in there now. Like,
Well, they feel the energy, and isn't that amazing? Like, I'd say that's one of millions of amazing things about feng shui, but the least favorite space, if you bring some love to it, I mean, all the gorgeous energy you brought to it, it becomes the favorite space in the home. Like, what could have been the least favorite? How can shift?
yeah,
And I love
yeah,
everything you're sharing. It was like, oh, I don't have a space for this, and I want to make sure I have my morning practice, and we know if there's not a space, we're not going to do it. Just like if you had said to your daughter, no, all this has to go, like, and so would have that like shut down some of her creative flow?
yeah,
Probably,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
it's all about balance, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
and so how did you feel about everyone coming into your newly found beautiful
I
space?
love it actually because it really created more family time as well, because like my boys, they're boys. They're men of few words. They don't talk much, and trying to have conversation is like pulling teeth sometimes. But they will come hang out, and sometimes we just sit in the quiet, and sometimes we chat. But either way, it's like we have that closeness,
Oh,
right?
oh, I
And I
love.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah, and the
I love
moment
it.
we're like, we have that closeness, I just felt that in my heart. And like, so here you are just sharing some really simple things you've done: connection with your daughter, more connection with your sons, more family connection, just more flow in the house, more creativity, just with some simple things that you're saying here. And
Very simple. Yeah. That's one of the things that I really like to, tell people that I'm talking to because they think that feng shui is so rigid and there's all these rules that you have to follow. And, oh, I'm going to have to go out and buy all new furniture, all these things. And I'm like, no, I'm here to help you. And we're going to simplify things and we're going to utilize stuff that you have and whole thing, sometimes it's just a matter of moving from here to there. It doesn't have to be complicated. I think as human beings, we overcomplicate things.
absolutely,
You
I
know?
love that. Yeah, the simplicity, and that's ultimately what we're wanting to create in the space: the flow, the simplicity, the focus, the clarity, all of that. I love that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, you just share, and I know you have a lot of even just personal stories with bringing feng shui in. So, because I know that if you'd like to share everybody, because I know you were doing Reiki, and I know you're a life coach, and really, really
Yeah.
good with your work. So I know you were doing all of that before feng shui. That's right, right?
That's correct. Yeah, yeah, feng shui. Yeah, so I've been a very highly sensitive empath all my life, and I didn't understand what that meant. That energetic exchange and how it could really affect me and deplete me, right? And I'd always had, like a higher power. I knew that, but I didn't have a relationship with that spiritual realm. And like we were just talking before the podcast about how I've got all this whole spirit team behind me always, and I feel it like, and I felt it back then too, but I didn't have a relationship with the angels and ascended masters and all of that stuff. And that's spiritual part of my journey started with sobriety, actually. So I've been sober for 15 years.
Amazing.
And when I started, that is when I really started to understand the importance of the relationship with the energies, the land, the trees, the animals, like we're all connected, right? And so that's when my spiritual journey actually started. And when I really started to learn about my empathic self. I always knew that I was intuitive, but again, didn't know what it meant or what to do with it and all of that. And I'm a massage therapist, or I was. I don't do massage anymore, but back then I was a massage therapist. So I was always very depleted. So I started this path of energy work, right? I started with different modalities, theta healing and all this, and Reiki, Reiki is one of them. And so being a massage therapist, being a Reiki practitioner, I'm a Reiki master now, but all of that, I found that I was counseling people all the time. And even though I was counseling, nobody was really following through with my counsel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was very interesting. I had someone working for me at the time who became a life coach, and she was sharing with me the differences between counseling and life coaching. And I became very interested in that. So I became a life coach. I'm a advanced certified life coach, spiritual and life. And I mean, I cannot express, like I could just like this whole podcast about shifts and changes in clients that I had for so long that I was trying to help in a counseling kind of way,
Yeah.
that then became coaching clients, and everything shifted within 6 months,
That's amazing.
with the coaching. So once I completed the coaching program, I had thought about feng shui again. And I think I've shared with you, Amanda, before that, like in the past, through the years, I've always kind of dabbled or looked to take a feng shui certification. And I always Googled and looked, and nothing really truly resonated with me. But then when I finished my coaching program and I searched in the same way I always search, all of a sudden you came up. And I'm
Woo!
like, I mean, you've been there for 20 years. You never came up before, and now you've come up,
I
right? And
know.
so total divine timing. And it was the same with I'm also a certified archangel intuitive, and it was the same thing with the angels. It was just like I kind of always, but when the timing was right, is like the right person showed up for me. And so I have such, I don't like to use the word trust, because trust to me it also elicits some fear. I just have faith and this knowingness that what I need and when I need it, it's going to show up when I need it.
You absolutely embody that on every
Yeah.
level, every cell. And I get to witness that flow in your life. Like I think
Yeah.
trust, faith, and I always call it like the golden thread. It's like, okay, all right, yeah, feng shui, I get it. Like I've always been doing that. I've been doing it, since I was a little girl, right? This is your experience. And
Hmm.
then when you're really
Hmm.
ready, then you go, okay, I'm ready. And then in drops the training, all of that.
What is that saying? When the student is ready, the master appears.
And then when the student is complete, the master disappears.
Yes.
Maybe that's the other side of
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
which is
But
perfect.
I love you. I love you and your programs. I started with the feng shui, and then I did the priestess program, which was so transformational for me. Like that really my own spiritual, not only spiritual, but in my business, because like I did the program for myself, for my own healing, and planned the Ireland trip as well, the priestess retreat. And so all of that was so powerful for me. And I brought a lot of that work into my practice,
Mhm.
and it's been transformational for my people too, with the work that I've learned from that. And now I'm in the geomancy with you and Alex, and that's amazing as well. So it's just I know we were joking the other day. I have so many of your programs now. I have 2 pages in my Kajabi program.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful, love. Well, okay, so I'd love to take a step back. So, because I mean, this is really good and really juicy and all this amazing work that you're already doing, but you kind of clearly you felt like there was still another piece you wanted to bring in because probably you're working with clients, they're getting good results, but you still felt like with this kind, they were going home to homes that were out of balance. So did you kind of feel like, well, this is an important piece, probably for yourself first, right? Because you did do it for yourself, but that you felt like if your clients had an environment that was supporting them, was that what it was? Kind of just to find out because you were already offering life coaching, people were getting shifts and all this was happening. What was it
Mhm.
that kind of was it just this internal calling and that kind of always doing it, moving around furniture and that sensing it?
Yeah. I think that's probably the most of it. It was the internal calling for sure.
Yeah.
And then I did have probably a few, some friends peppered in that actually practice feng shui, but they're practicing, the more general, the
Yeah.
general
Yeah.
bagua. It was none of it was classical. So I really didn't even know classical feng shui existed until and probably that's why, every time I Googled and looked, it never felt right to me. On a subconscious level, my higher self knew that I did not need to be practicing that more modern practice. I
Exactly.
needed the classical.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, which, can be overwhelming for the person learning it, and probably sometimes that's why some people think that feng shui can be overwhelming because the whole flying start concept, they don't really understand it. But that's why you hire somebody because they do all that for you, simplify it and say, here's your report and let me help guide you through this. And so that's what I
Absolutely.
do. Like, when somebody hires me to do feng shui, they get months of support. It's not just, okay, here it is, now go do it. It's like I'm there to help guide them. And I'm finding that my coaching really also is a very strong piece of the feng shui piece because, just what we were talking about before, like with my one client not wanting to get rid of her stuff, there was some coaching around that.
Absolutely. I mean, all of
Yeah.
your skills, I mean, you're all the energy work. I mean, when you're working with the space, you're working with the energy, you're working with the person's energy, the energy of the home, the energy of the land. And then, of course, like there's so much coaching that's needed because if somebody's been living in a space the same way for so long, those patterns are pretty deep, those pathways in the brain. So it's
Yeah.
like, and I love that you bring all that support and you bring all of this wisdom and all of this knowledge and your experience to it. So I love that. And I hear that it's been really powerful for your a lot of, for your clients. And
Yeah.
they're so blessed because you keep kind of expanding in that way so you can just keep supporting them. I love that. So
Yeah.
now I know, and I'd love to talk more about the divine woman and the priestess next, but first off, and now I know you're doing all sorts of great stuff. So you're doing feng shui consultations. I know you've got all sorts of great feng shui workshops going. Tell us a little bit about all that.
Yeah, so I've partnered with a yoga studio here in Raleigh to bring a series of feng shui classes to her community. And it was very interesting because I had this plan of doing each one of the guas like once a month. But when I talked to her, she was like, that might even be too much for them right now. Like
Yeah,
a lot of them don't even understand the concept of energy work versus feng shui, being an energy modality. And that's also one of my passions and my missions is to educate people that feng shui is an energy modality. A lot of people think it's interior decorating, right? We all hear that all the time, but it really is energy work that we can do. And so, but when I was talking to her, she's like, they don't even know what energy work is either.
I'm surprised with a yoga studio full of yogis, right? Because I mean that's all
Yeah.
energy in the body, right? Prana.
It is. Yeah, but I think people are so still in that state of duality of being like a human being and not an energetic being. And so they're grasping at straws to try and find their way because they're living in this duality that they are a single human being. And so this is like the perfect opportunity to come in and educate them that we are energetic beings that are all interconnected with not only with each other, but with our environment, with the building, with the land, with the city, with the country, with the world, like it just keeps expanding out. And so, we had a little bit of, I'm a very conversational teacher. So I have kind of an outline, but not a full blown structure because I like to have exchange conversation. So, it went a little in a different direction than what I was thinking, but at the end of it, everybody was like, "Wow, when's the next class?"
I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're right on purpose. This is what you want to do. You want to expand people's consciousness to understand that interconnectedness of all of us, and we're just more than this physical vessel, right? And so you're
Yes.
that's amazing. I just like
Yeah.
honor you for doing this work.
Thank
You're amazing.
you. Thank you. And in
Yes.
the process of it, it also heals me, right? That's the one thing I love about the type of work that we do,
Yeah.
because when we're helping others, we're also healing ourselves, you
Absolutely.
know?
Well,
So,
100 I always say our work is our medicine. Our work is our medicine.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I have not heard you say that. I love it.
Oh, okay. Well, so I'd love to hear more because I we had so much fun together in Ireland in August doing all our
Yes.
priestess ceremonial stuff. But let's take a step back before that because you spent the whole year, well, 21, 22, going through the Divine Woman Priestess Awakening program.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that's all based on the Celtic Wheel. So tell us about what that did and what you kind of integrated into your life and how that affected.
Mhm. Wow, it was so powerful, both emotionally, mentally, and physically, actually. I was very concerned about going on the physical retreat because of my physical restrictions with my back. But the going through the Celtic wheel really taught me how to not only honor myself
Mm.
and love myself, but also how to connect utilizing, the land and the traditions and the ancestors and all the things that all of the support. I mentioned earlier that I always felt like I had support, but I didn't have a relationship with my support. And that just really, that divine woman really, oh my gosh, it just really, that was the final piece of developing a relationship with everything. And I think the land is what was missing. And I don't think I've shared this with you yet, Amanda, but like all through the years, anytime I've gone to an intuitive or, had a card reading or anything, everybody's always told me, you need to be more grounded. You need to be grounded. You need to ground yourself. Everybody would always say that. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I mean, I'm doing everything I know to ground myself. I've got my stones, I've got my oils, you meditate, I do all these things to ground myself. What else can I possibly do? And it was when sorry, the sun's shining through my
I was
window.
like,
I noticed
you look gorgeous. Could you just keep illuminating? It's like all the waves of light bouncing and dancing. I'm like, oh my God, you're so gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so the Divine Women program really taught me that, like, really grounding, using the land, the ancestors, every piece of it, and honoring myself and knowing that I'm a part of this big whole thing. And, I mean, and I knew that already, but I don't think I embodied it as much until that. And
Mm,
then, the physical exercises that we do in that program as well are not rigorous at all, but they really, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much it opened up my low back. I have a lot of pelvic floor stuff, from for different reasons. And I had even been through a pelvic floor program before I did the Priestess Divine Woman program, and your program helped more with my pelvic floor than that whole other thing that I did with a
that's
physical
amazing.
therapist.
That's amazing. I
Yeah,
had no idea. That's amazing.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so much shifted in my physical body. Um,
So,
because also, that whole issues are in the tissues thing. Also, a lot of that physical stuff that was happening in me was also, the emotional releasing stuff helped the physical stuff. And
and
then the physical movements that we did, the breathing exercises and just the very gentle yoga and movements and all of that stuff was just so profound.
I'm so
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to hear that. And we did. I think in particular, what you're talking about is the womb healing, and
Yes.
if it's okay, you were working with it on the physical level with the physiotherapist and everything, but it's like when you connect your energetic womb with the earth cosmic and the earth womb, it's just like that
Yes.
the healing that can happen there is profound.
Yes.
That's
And
amazing.
And, the connection with my sisters in the program as well. Like when I was doing those movements and, you talk about connecting that energetic womb with the cosmic womb and all of that and the wombs of your sisters, like there's this sisterhood that happens in that program as well that is just, again, so powerful and amazing and such a gift, such a
Mm,
gift.
grateful to
Yeah.
hear that. I'm so grateful to hear that. And now, like, it feels like you've just integrated into a way of being now, everything you learned. It's not like I learned this, this is something separate. It feels like you've just brought those practices in and there's a full embodiment and now you teach it and you share it and you're, is that
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, coming off the priestess program and making that connection with the land, which is why when you came to me and you're like, Robin, you're ready for geomancy. And I was like, "Ooh, am I? I don't know." But I don't regret it for a minute that I signed up for geomancy because it is absolutely incredible as well.
Yeah.
So,
So what's been happening with that then? Because this is next level of working with the land and the earth. And the thing
mhm,
is, it's really interesting because you were saying that you were going to these people and they're like, you're not grounded, right? But
mhm,
to be completely transparent, when I was in your presence, because it was the first time we were physically together, we
mhm.
energetically, psychically, in lots of ways we have, but never that. And you like it's like you're just okay, you're just angelic and beautiful and magnificent, and you're just a total goddess. But also, it's like you're the most beautiful oak tree whose roots go deep, 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 deep down to the earth. And at the same time, the branches are up to the light. But that's you. Like to me, it's just like, oh my God, you on every level are grounded on every dimension. Just so, so grounded. So clearly now, I mean, I don't think anybody says that to you anymore. Am I right?
No, but I also think it was there. They say as light workers, we need to be careful what we tell people because
Yeah.
our interpretation of it, right? So, and that's one of the things I love about you, Amanda, is like you never tell anybody what to do. You ask the powerful questions as a coach does to help us discern for ourselves. And I think that everybody telling me that I need to be grounded, that was their interpretation of you know, heading towards geomancy and working with the land,
Yeah.
working
Oh,
with
I got
Mother Earth.
chills.
Yeah, it's all become very clear to me now. And my dad explains this really clearly because he's an animal communicator and he had a session like that one time where he put his own interpretation on something and it didn't make sense to the human. It was about a cat. He said his favorite pastime was looking at the boats out the window, but he knew this person didn't live
Near
in near
water.
a marina,
Yeah.
right? And so he put some spin on it that didn't really, I don't know, whatever. And the lady didn't really make sense. But then I think he showed up. They went to their house for dinner or something. I don't know. And then he realized that the neighbor next door works on a boat that's dry docked in his
Oh,
backyard,
wow, I got chills. That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah. So it didn't make sense because he put his own interpretation on it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the way I view it now. When everybody kept saying you need to be more grounded, it's more you need to work with the land.
Absolutely. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that because I know you've been going deep into that, and I have to say you are so brave and so courageous, and you're like just willing to take things on because it's no like little thing taking on the Feng Shui Master Certification, and you've integrated into your whole life. Now you've got a business, you're consulting, you're teaching classes, then you like went through the whole year of Divine Woman. You've integrated that. You're already teaching that. You've come on the retreat, and now and that was a year long and and you're coming through it again just at your own pace
Yeah.
and pieces of you right. But now you've stepped into a whole nother year of geomancy. But and I feel like it's not like they all just make sense that you kind of grow into the next,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
They all cross pollinate with each other very wonderfully. And I would say that, with the geomancy, I'm still new to it. So it's still I don't want to say overwhelming. It's just a lot. It's a lot of material and stuff. But what I will say from what I've gotten through so far is it just gives me a better understanding of things that maybe we've talked about in the past because like for instance I specifically remember when we were in Ireland and we were at the lake and we were going to the waterfall and we had stopped at that, at that one area, and you had
Incredible.
mentioned,
Yeah.
you're like, look at that dragon and this and that. And I would look at the mountain and go, yeah, it looks like a dragon, but it's like I didn't have to understand like the depth of the understanding when you were talking about the dragon. Right. And so this is again just taking me down to that deeper level of understanding that there's so much more to, Mother Earth and just going out and looking at the beautiful flowers. Like there's so much more power behind it all, and that it's right there for us, right? We think, oh, how beautiful, I love it, and it raises my vibration. Like that was the level of thinking that I had before all this. But now it's like, look at the power behind that mountain, or feel the power behind that mountain, feel the power of this tree, versus just like, because I used to sit here, I have this beautiful crepe myrtle right outside my window, and I would sit there and think, oh, how beautiful, and this and that. But now when I come in, it's like I feel the energy of that tree when I come in. I don't know if I told you this, but when I was at the end of the priestess retreat, I stayed in Ireland an extra week, and there was this tree at this castle that I connected with, and I still connect with her. Like she was amazing tree. I named her Mabel, and I would bicycle to the castle. It was just a mile away from where I was staying, and I'd sit under her and I'd journal. And she was just, and I took a picture like laying on the ground looking up, and just so powerful.
You were having an affair with her, and still
I was. I still do.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And like that is our birthright, to have that deep, intimate connection and like feel into her sovereignty and her power. And I love that. It's like, and I think you just put that so beautifully. It's not like, oh, just look at that beautiful tree. Oh, it's so nice. It's like, feel that. And then you can actually you can feel that energy in your body moving through you, feeding you with energy. And then when you connect with that tree, you feel the connection with all the trees. And I feel like that's a piece of where all the interconnectedness, like you have a drop of water, but you're actually connected with all the drops of water, every lake, every ocean, every stream, every river. And I just love how you put that. That's just so profoundly beautiful.
Oh, I didn't realize that I felt that way until I said it out loud.
Isn't that amazing? Is that so? And then it was just like, for me, it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, well, I hear what you're saying with the geomancy, because that's a huge, I mean, the Earth body is 4.5 billion years old. So we got plenty of time. We're not in any hurry. But I'm sure already what you're learning is already, from what you shared, you're already starting to embody it. And then it just will be a way of being, and you'll end up sharing it in your practice. Because I think we're very similar in such a way. We love what we do, and it doesn't barely even feel like we work, because it's just like, okay, what I've learned, I'm just having fun. And then I get to put it into and help people. And that's just fun. And then it's actually, though, I love that you said cross-pollinated, because it's like, there's not really differentiation, because I'm working, because I'm doing the same thing if I'm working, if I'm playing.
Yeah.
So,
I belong to a Raleigh Professional Women's Forum, and we meet once a month, and there's always it's a lunch and a speaker, and then, we just mingle with each other. And the speaker was all about like self-care and stuff like that. And she mentioned something like that. She's like, do you just dread going to work? I'm like, heck no, I love going to work.
You're like, it's bliss. It's bliss.
It's like my passion. That's what I love. So, and that's what I've always strived for, is for my work not to feel like work. It's just what I love to do,
I love that just emanates out of every pore, and and it's so clear, and I can relate, because I don't feel like I actually work. You know what I mean? Like, it's I get to chat with you for an hour. Woohoo!
I remember you sharing with us one time that your daughter said, Mom, when you go to work, you just laugh, or you're not working, you're just laughing and having fun. Something like that.
I do hear for like a minute or two, something other than just laughing, but for the most of it, you're just laughing. And how gorgeous is that? That is her And
Yes.
your children too, what they witness, oh, work doesn't have to be like, get the whip out and da, 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 and it's, oh, I'm miserable and, oh, I don't like here. It's actually, it's an extension of who we are when we really get to follow that. And like you're saying, when you follow that inner thread, right? Just like you said, okay, oh, I feel like I'm meant to learn this. And then it feels so right. And then you bring it into your own life because our work is our medicine and we integrate it and embody it and receive the gifts of it. And then we just integrate it into what we offer. So I love that. That's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. And then so you've Feng Shui Master Certification, obviously you've done Feng Shui your life because that's part of it. Divine Woman, Priestess Awakening, Geomancy, but also you've been an inner circle of Feng Shui.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love the inner circle of feng shui for so many reasons because it also it keeps you connected with the group and with the people. But the thing that I love about it is that I use it for my business because let's face it, we can't remember everything, right? We have to go back and look things up, you know,
Absolutely.
and so the thing that I love about the inner circle is that if I have somebody who, that wanted something specific and I was like, "Ooh, I don't remember that." So I just went in, and I searched the search bar and boom, a class came up. And then
Woo!
I could just watch that class and and
Off
it's
you
just like
go.
it's like Google for Amanda Feng Shui, you know?
Oh, well, I'm so
And
grateful.
and the other thing too is that, we can always request, right? Because I had requested for you to sell a business. And so you put it on the schedule,
Yeah.
feng shui for selling a business. And then, some of us were like, well, we have some business Q&A questions that we want to have. So you scheduled it. So you're always super accommodating in that like if there's not something we need in there, which is very rare, then we just request it and you do it.
Oh, thank you, love.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's my joy. So it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds really fun. Okay, I didn't think of that. Like, it's a brilliant idea. I'd be happy to share that. So thank you
Yeah.
for asking and for doing this amazing, amazing work that you're doing. So is
Thank you.
there anything exciting that you're doing now that you'd like to share with us? Anything, that you can give us a sneak into that's coming into Magical Robin's offerings?
Well, I will say, well, in the way of offerings, I really am shifting my business into the feng shui piece and the coaching piece, right? And I love to work with businesses. One of my favorite clients is a business where I feng shuied the building, and then I coach the owners individually. I started coaching the managers like as a group, but now I do them individually, and then like trainings for the staff. And so this whole thing just coming together. I
That's
just love that whole piece of it. But what I'm doing this year is I'm speaking a lot actually. So the year of the water rabbit, and I am a rooster. Okay. So as a rooster, what I've been told is I just need to keep putting myself out there. Just get in front of people. Just be out there. And so as soon as I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do, like things just started. Like you asked me literally the very next day when I'm like, okay, you asked me to be on the podcast. And I have 4 other podcasts lined up. Um,
amazing.
yeah. And one of
And like
which
I
is a
say, you're
series.
such a brilliant speaker. I mean, I know for me personally, I just feel so at home in your presence. And that to me represents how at home within yourself, within your own soul, within your own heart, within your own body, because I know how I feel in your presence. So I'm not surprised that you're doing all these speaking and you're getting all these requests for podcasts because it's
Yeah.
more, and you have said yes. Have you seen that movie? It's called Yes Day.
No.
Okay, well, it's more of a kids movie, but the kids love it. But anyway, it's about these parents that just say yes to everything, and the kids are like, "We want a yes day, mom." But so you're just having a yes life. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it pertains to my end goal,
Absolutely.
right?
Okay.
Because we have to be really careful because sometimes we say yes as people pleasers and we deplete ourselves.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
before I say yes, I ask myself, is this going to get me to my end goal? And then if it is, then I do yes with an exclamation point.
You're amazing, and I know how clear you are on your boundaries. Like I know,
Yes.
oh, like
Yes.
you're sovereign. You're clear. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's just, you're just saying I'm open, universe, these opportunities, if they're in alignment, that like full yes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, my goal really is I just love feng shui and coaching so much. So, I would love any opportunity, and I can work globally as well. So it's like people don't have to be in Raleigh in order for me to do it. But one other thing, I shared earlier in the podcast that like my mission is to educate people on feng shui and coaching being healing modalities. Right? They're not just things that we do. They actually can heal us. And so the biggest thing that I'm excited about is a speaking engagement that's actually at a fitness festival at this
Oh,
new, yeah, we have this new center that just built, and they're doing like this whole fitness day. And so most everybody there is going to be like yoga instructors and aerobics and Pilates and all this kind of stuff. But when I talk to them, I'm like, I do feng shui and coaching, and she's like, hmm. And I said, well, let me talk to you about that. And so after we got off the phone, she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, we totally want you here.
that's amazing. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's what I'm most excited about right now. Is so if you're in the Raleigh area, it's going to be at Fenton, which is a new like village type shopping center. I believe it's going to be in May, like May 7th. If you're in Raleigh and you want to come hear me speak,
Brilliant.
that's
Brilliant.
where I'm going to be.
Yeah. And I know you're an
Yeah.
incredible speaker, as we're getting to experience now, but also teacher, because you've taught a class in the inner circle and you've been teaching
Oh
amazing
yeah, that's right. I did.
stuff. Yeah. So maybe you could leave us with, because you shared that you've created this beautiful space for your daily practices and how mindful you are of your own energy and bringing that to life, bring that to your family, bring that to your home, bring that to your clients. So maybe you would share with us a day in the life, or just kind of what are some of the powerful practices that you do daily, throughout your toolkit that really help you stay in alignment, stay in balance.
Yeah. So I always get up before my family. Like I need that quiet time in the morning to just be still. And I have my area, and sometimes I read, sometimes I meditate, sometimes I just sit there and nothing. You know what I mean? It's like I honor what it is that I need in that moment, but it's my time. It's uninterrupted my time. And then I do go to the gym, and that's something that I kind of force myself to do because I don't enjoy it, but I know that it's good for my body. And then when I'm done, I'm so happy and grateful that I did do it. So then what I'm sure a lot of people can identify with that. And then when I come home, I'm able to be very present with my family and my household and my animals and all of that because I've already had that time. One of the other things that I think is super important, once I do come to work, because I am like a single provider and not in a big conglomerate, I don't have like a receptionist anymore that like takes care of things for me. And so I have, on my actual cell phone, I have a second line that is my business line. But
Mm,
what I'm very clear with my boundaries. Like if somebody texts me, at a time that's not my work time for work questions, I don't feel like I have to respond right away. This used to be a practice that I did, and I was constantly like, it took away my presence of my own personal life. Right. And so I'm very clear with my boundaries on that and also what it is that I want to do. And then I think another really important piece of my day is very much mindset stuff. And that is like, there was a couple of days ago where my schedule just fell apart. Like almost every single client canceled. And in the past, I would have probably dropped into financial fear, like, oh my gosh, like, why is this happening? And do that tailspin thing. But now I notice when that happens, I'm like, look at all this time I have. What is it that I've been saying I didn't have time to do? My spirit team just cleared my calendar for me. And
woo!
boom, I just
I
got
love it.
right into, and I just got so much stuff done because I have this big job coming up. I just realized it's in 2 weeks, and I hadn't really, I had in my mind everything I was going to do, but I hadn't gotten out the stuff. So those are the big chunky things I think that are really have shifted my life to a place of having this like serenity and empowerment and feeling very empowered. So
Oh,
I don't know
you're
if that answers the question.
amazing. Oh no, that was amazing. I love and you know, I love your transparency, your honesty, and just these beautiful healthy habits you've created in your life and this beautiful life you've created and how you just keep like aligning and synchronizing with expansion and more alignment. So I honor you and I've so enjoyed our chat, as I'm sure all of our listeners have got so much listening to all of your wisdom, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. This was amazing. I was looking forward to it all week, and now I'm kind of sad it's over.
Oh, we'll have more chats, more chats. Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much, my love. This was amazing, and thank you to everyone listening.